All right, everybody, what is going on? Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. I know I'm a little bit late with this one. I was out earlier today, and then when I got home, I had a couple things going on, so I wasn't able to make a video about this when it happened. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the news that we got earlier today concerning the Seattle Seahawks and their training camp, which kicks off later this week. So there's been a lot of discussion about this already. There's been a lot of conversation about this among the beat reporters, and there's been speculation among fans. But the Seahawks have thrown a couple of new names on their PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. And it's not anything too bad. And remember, the PUP is often minor stuff. But let's take a look here. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. And to start training camp, and remember, not everybody has shown up yet. They don't have to show up until later this week. So we'll probably get some more names over the next couple of days. But we have 3 players on the PUP to begin training camp. Tyrone Broden, the wide receiver who is apparently trying to be a cornerback now. Kenny McIntosh, the running back who just cannot catch a break. And this is the notable one, if you're a Seahawks fan, Nick Emanwari, the safety slash corner slash linebacker slash do everything man for the defense. So, 3 names, and you pretty much know that guys like Zach Charbonnet, when they show up, are going to be put on this list. You pretty much know that there are going to be other guys that filter in as camp gets underway later this week. So don't expect this to be the end of it, but as we get this training camp started, understand that the PUP is often pretty minor stuff, and you can get taken off the PUP at any time. There's no indication of how serious or significant anything is with this team. I'm sorry, with these players. So I know that there are some people who are immediately kind of concerned when they see something like this, but definitely would not be too alarmed about any of this right now. Corbin and I think it was Dan Viennes have already talked about this at length on their accounts. Nick Emanwari was at the OTAs, and he was doing stuff, and he looked totally fine. Didn't seem like there was any kind of a real issue. And the OTAs, they do some fairly serious stuff. So whatever happened here is probably very minor. Maybe it's a fitness thing where they just couldn't quite pass the fitness test, and maybe they'll do it tomorrow. But that is the start. So Tyrone Broden, obviously, this is an interesting moment for him because he is trying to change position, and he is a very physically talented player. He does have a lot of really good athleticism. So Tyrone Broden definitely needs these reps in camp. So his injury, if it is at all significant in that it'll keep him off the field, is a big deal for him, but not really a big deal for this team. I don't think Broden has much of it's hard for me to see Broden actually making this team as much of anything beyond the practice squad. And the reason why he might make the practice squad is because of his physical talent, not because of anything he actually is ready to do as a football player. So that one seems relatively insignificant. But Tyrone Broden starts on the PUP. So that one's obviously the least significant, I think, to this team because he doesn't really have a place to be. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about Team Picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. The Kenny McIntosh one, it's been we're coming up on just about a calendar year since Kenny McIntosh had the injury that took him out for last season. So you can see whatever happened to him, it was pretty massive. And I know that we know what happened to him, but the thing to understand is, I mean, he probably tore more than just one thing at this point. If it was just one thing, he'd at least be able to be off the PUP by now. But it's really hard to imagine McIntosh having much of an NFL career at this point, unfortunately. And I know some people really liked him, and I know some people were kind of excited because this was his opportunity because Walker's gone and Charbonnet is going to start the season injured, but it just seems like things have kind of passed him by, and the injury he had was so massive. It's just kind of over. So not really expecting McIntosh to make the team. Maybe he ends up going to like the season-ending IR list and gets to stay on the team. But it kind of just feels like his chances of being an impactful NFL player are kind of over. Now, Eamon Warry's obviously the stressful one on some level. That would be the one that actually we would miss. But again, I want to stress he was doing stuff in OTAs and looked fine. Nobody said anything. It is worth noting that he played through an injury in the Super Bowl, but doesn't seem like this is anything too significant. The thing to keep in mind right now is that players get thrown on the PUP for a lot of very, very minor reasons at the start of camp and then come off of it pretty quickly. Now, if a player is on the PUP through August 30th, that's what, 6 weeks from now, they have to miss the first 4 games of the season. So obviously, we're going to be counting down those days and hoping that Nick can get off the list before then. But I don't think there's any reason to believe this is anything of significance. So pretty normal stuff. We'll see who else gets thrown onto the PUP list over the next few days. Like I said, we all know that Charbonnet is going to start there. Probably looking at a couple other guys as well are going to start there. Like I think Barner might. Arroyo might as well, based on what I remember hearing from OTAs. But overall, just kind of business as usual for the NFL. One other little note here, the Seahawks worked out another cornerback here. DeAndre Prince, former Jacksonville 5th-round pick, guy with 4.38 speed. Obviously hasn't really latched on in the NFL yet, but DeAndre Prince, I remember scouting him a little bit in college. And the most interesting thing about this, because obviously we haven't signed him yet, is that this team really seems to want to add another corner. So it feels like we think that we have a little bit of an issue there. And you look at the roster, it's understandable why they might think that. So we'll see where this ends up going, but it does seem like we're trying to find one more corner, even if it's just a random depth guy. But corner is a position where you can kind of find good stuff out of nowhere off the junk heap. A guy like Josh Jobe that nobody knew anything about, we got him, turned him into a decent starter, and now he's actually making decent money for us. So that is a position where you can cheap out and find good stuff. So we'll see if anything comes of this, but looks like we want a corner. All right, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. And yeah, nothing too big quite yet, but some news is going to have to do for now. All right, go Hawks.